Hey folks, quick repair today. We're going to fix up a G1 Combaticon Vortex that is dangerously tight. He's too tight to transform safely. It's a really common problem. This is one that I picked up from a recent local toy show that I went to. And a few videos back, I actually did a walkthrough one by one of the haul that I brought home. This guy is not broken, thankfully. He was missing his propeller, and I found a propeller for him. I actually had been temporarily storing this G1 Vortex propeller on one of my G2 Vortexes. So it's a good opportunity to just show you the difference, how you can tell the post that you put the propeller into the toy is going to be colored differently depending on whether it's G1 or G2. So the G1 has this kind of greenish blue color, and then the G2 has the purple color. So, like I said, he's way too tight. It's not safe to transform him, and there are a lot of broken vortexes out there. It's interesting how, in the early days of collecting, when these toys were 10 or 15 years old, we had to worry about whether the joints were floppy and loose. And so the repair activity would be tightening up the joints. Now, when they're 35 or 40 years old, they're actually too tight. And there's a buildup of dust and maybe some plastic debris that makes them just really tight. They just don't slide along the track smoothly. They don't pivot in the joints smoothly. So all you need to do is disassemble them and clean that up. I'll show you. It's always the same thing. It's always the same white residue. Um, this one I was able to open up the legs without too much problem. I can feel that it's a little bit crunchy, but it's at least it's moving. The shoulders, on the other hand, are really, really seized. I'm just afraid to try to force it. So we're going to just do this the right way, clean it up, loosen it up, and then reassemble them. The only tools we'll need today are a screwdriver, a shallow dish of water, and a Q-tip. We'll dampen one end of the Q-tip to wipe off the gunk and use the dry end of the Q-tip to wipe off any moisture. It won't be necessary to immerse the pieces into soapy water or anything like that. Once in a blue moon, you might need to lubricate a G1 transformer, but it's almost never required, and we're not going to have to do it here today. If you are going to lubricate something, use a silicone oil, a silicone-based lubricant. I use this one from a treadmill lubrication kit. The silicone doesn't react with the plastic, whereas other kinds of petroleum-based products apparently are too close chemically to the plastic and actually can cause some reaction. So I'm not a chemist, but I try to steer clear of that. And what we're doing here is removing the chest as well as the base of the propeller, which is spring loaded, so don't lose that spring. Once you've got those off, it'll reveal the three most important screws, which is what holds the clamshell of the body together. Now we can get that open and remove the limbs. Now we can get the legs and the feet taken apart. There's one screw holding the two legs together, and if you take that out first, then the feet are easy to access the two screws that hold them together. I did it in the wrong order here. Just forgive me. It had been a minute since I had taken one of these apart. But we got them apart, and that shows the track that allows the legs to extend and contract. This is our first really good view of that white debris. Whatever this dust is, I think it's probably a combination of actual dust from the air and then also debris from the plastic itself, sort of like shavings or ground little filings of plastic that just start to gum up the joint. And now we'll get the arms disassembled, everything from those tail fins to the shoulder here. There's a ball and socket joint, which is also covered in that white debris. But we'll get it all cleaned up. Try to keep track of the orientation and which part goes with which. It can get a little confusing later if you throw it all into one pile. And now we'll start cleaning things up. Just dab your Q-tip into some water, wipe it off at the post. Let's get the inside of that sliding track, and then flip it over to the dry side to remove any excess moisture. You'll see that when that gunk is still there, that dust, even removing the black leg track piece from the foot is difficult. It's sticking somehow. It's not sticky, but there's enough material there that it's sticking. And once you remove it, you can see it slides just so much more smoothly. You can really feel it in your hand. And with the legs in pretty good shape, we'll move on to the rest of the bot, starting with the base of that propeller. That rotates and it is spring loaded, so clean it really well. This is also a spot where lubricant can be useful when it's plastic on metal or metal on metal. But in this case, if it's clean enough, you won't need it. We'll also do the shoulders. That's about the most sensitive part on the toy. This is the part that breaks so often. So we'll just clean up all that residue. And then we'll move on to those tail fins. We get another good view of that white residue there. Even though they were moving really tight and not very smoothly. Like you can feel this sort of grittiness. I'm not sure how to describe it, but I think you know it because you've lived with it. But once you wipe it up, clean it up, it's just gonna, it's gonna move freely. It won't be loose. It's not gonna flop around, but it'll move much more freely like it should. And now we'll reassemble them, starting with the legs. Once the legs are mostly together, we can actually take a look at this notch and peg system that's used to help him stand up straight. If you ever tug on him or push on him and he doesn't seem to be moving, it might not be that he's tight. It might just be that these pegs are seated in the slot correctly. And now we'll start reassembling the upper body, starting with the torso. We'll get the arms put back together, and this is a good opportunity to check on that tail fin. And this one's moving a lot more smoothly, as is the other side. And now we can get a good look at how the shoulder extends. It's very important to extend it all the way before you try to rotate it down into that robot arm position. And you can also see why it clicks as you extend it. There's a little notch there that the post is sliding past. When it was all gummed up with debris, it was really hard to get past that notch. Now it moves past smoothly, but you still hear that audible click. And the other shoulder seems to be transforming well, so we'll get the rest of him reassembled. I like to do it in helicopter mode. I find that it holds together a little more easily for me. We'll start off with the two halves of the body clamshell and then put on the base of the propeller. Remember that that's spring loaded, so you're going to fine tune the tension to your liking. And then we'll put the chest plate back on, and it's worth pausing to take note that this is the metal plate variant. There was a metal plate and a plastic plate variant of this toy. And finally, we'll do a little test transformation just to make sure everything's working well. So we'll get the legs extended and then move on to the arms, get those shoulders popped out and rotated downward. Everything's looking good. And now we've got a nice looking vortex that is safe to transform. But there's one little detail I wouldn't mind fine tuning, and that's the propeller. It's a little bit bent out of shape. It's easy to fix. All you have to do is dip it in some boiling water, let it set, and take it out and bend it back. And if you want to do a really good job, you can weigh it down with something heavier and flat. I'm just going to tease it back with my hands. This isn't a top priority fix for me, but if I can just bend it a little bit back into shape, then I'll be happy. And here's our vortex all finished up, looking smooth, transforming smooth. I know you just watched a guy wiping dust off of a toy with a Q-tip. It's not exactly brain surgery, but it is a legitimate technique and a recurring issue with G1 transformers. Now that they've reached this age, this white dust, this debris just gums up all the joints and the sliding tracks. It will be a problem. And you don't want a broken toy. All you've got to do is disassemble it, clean it up, and it'll be good as new. So, as always, I hope you found this information useful, and we'll see you next time.